Mixed martial arts is not a style, it's a method. It's the pressure test that separates technique from theory. Here is what matters: why MMA principles matter for real combat and how you apply them. The idea of mixing fighting styles is ancient. The Greeks had pankration, blending boxing and wrestling. But modern MMA traces to two key developments: the Gracie Challenge in Brazil and Shudo in Japan. The Gracies used veil tudo, anything goes, matches to prove Brazilian jiu-jitsu's effectiveness. In Japan, Satoru Sayama's Shudo evolved from worked matches into legitimate hybrid contests. The catalyst was the first UFC in 1993, a style versus style tournament. Royce Gracie, a slender BJJ expert, defeated larger strikers, proving ground fighting was essential. That moment shattered the illusion that any single art was complete. The lesson: no art covers all ranges. You must understand striking, clinch, takedowns, and groundwork. That is the foundation of modern combat. Early MMA was brutal: few weight classes, minimal rules, single-night tournaments. It faced fierce criticism. Survival came through standardization. The unified rules banned groin strikes, head-butting, and strikes to the back of the head. Weight classes from flyweight to heavyweight made matches fair. Time limits and rounds replaced indefinite bouts. Gloves, medical testing, and ringside physicians became mandatory. These reforms gave the sport legitimacy. Promotions like the UFC, Bellator, and One Championship refined it into a professional spectacle. The era of the one-dimensional specialist is over. The modern mixed martial artist must be competent in all ranges. For you, this means cross-training is not optional. You need a base in striking, takedowns, and ground fighting. That is the standard. MMA is not a traditional art with a single philosophy. It is a hybrid built on cross-training. Its effectiveness comes from covering all ranges of combat. There are three primary pillars. First, striking, drawn from Western boxing for hands, head movement, and footwork, and Muay Thai for kicks, knees, elbows, and clinch work. Second, takedowns and grappling, from freestyle and Greco-Roman wrestling for takedowns and control, and judo for throws. Third, ground fighting, dominated by Brazilian jiu-jitsu and submission wrestling for positional control, submissions, and defense. Training is grueling and multidisciplinary. You need separate sessions for striking, wrestling, and BJJ, plus strength and conditioning, sparring, and strategy. Sparring with resistant opponents is critical. That is what pressure tests your skills. The training model is what sets MMA apart. It is not about compliant partner drills. It is about live, resistant sparring. A professional fighter's camp involves daily sessions for striking, wrestling, and BJJ. Sparring is conducted at varying contact levels, hard or technical, to pressure test skills against a fully resisting opponent. There is no universal ranking system like colored belts. Competence is measured by professional record, promotion ranking, and titles. Proficiency timelines vary. A strong base in one discipline, like collegiate wrestling, can accelerate development. But achieving a well-rounded professional level typically requires 4 to 7 years of dedicated, full-time training. For you, the principle is clear. You must train against resistance. That is the only way to know if your technique works under pressure. MMA's proven effectiveness under pressure has influenced military and law enforcement combatives worldwide. They do not teach MMA as a sport. They adopt its principles and pressure-tested methods. Special Forces units embrace cross-training. Striking from boxing and Muay Thai, clinch and takedown defense from wrestling, and ground control from BJJ are all valued for proven efficacy. The training model of live, resistant sparring is seen as essential. They do not practice compliant drills. They pressure test under realistic conditions. For you, this is the takeaway. The principles that make MMA effective in the cage are the same principles that make it effective on the street. Cover all ranges. Train against resistance. Keep it simple. That is what works. MMA is not a style. It is a method of synthesis and pressure testing. Understand the ranges, train against resistance, and keep your foundation simple. That is the path to practical combat effectiveness.